I'm going to start out here with talking a little bit about Guru Rinpoche and actually doing the prayer. I'm just going to say the prayer in English with a brief explanation here. This is from a talk that Gyalwang Karmapa gave, what I'm going to say in a minute. But first, I have a quote from Tai Situ Rinpoche, and that is, quote, "The 17th Karmapa is not an emanation of Guru Rinpoche. He is Guru Rinpoche." And there is no visualization for the prayer. I've never received teachings on a visualization, so there is no visualization for the prayer. It starts with hum, which is Sanskrit, and the Tibetans pronounce that as hung, H-U-N-G. The first line is in the northwest of Uddiyana. And the Tibetan for Uddiyana is Urgyen. And that is one of the names of the 17th Karmapa, by the way. And this states the land of Guru Rinpoche's origin. This is in India. And I have heard different locations for Urgyen. But I did do you might say a Google search for the lake where he was miraculously born in, and it showed up north of Bangladesh in India in the mountains. So that's the first line. This is where he came from. The next line is upon the anthers of a lotus. And that is his manner of dwelling there. The third line talks about his extraordinary qualities, or his siddhis, his accomplishments, his miraculous accomplishments. You achieve the wondrous, supreme, perfect siddhi. The fourth line is, and are renowned as the lotus born. And that's what Padmasambhava, his Sanskrit name, is. Padmasambhava. Padma is lotus. The Tibetans pronounce Padma as Pema. Sambhava is born. Then the fifth line is encircled by many dakinis, a host of dakinis, a retinue of dakinis. This is his entourage. And this completes the identification of the object of our supplication. This is who we are supplicating. The next line in English is, we practice following your example. And this explains how we are supplicating and how we are approaching him. We are approaching him that we may follow his example. And notice that there's practice in there. So it's not just we're saying that, oh, we're following your example. We have a lot of devotion for you and gratitude and so forth. It is that we are making this commitment to follow your example. The next is we ask you to come and grant your blessings. So this is the actual request that we are making. We are asking him to bless us and all beings. And the Karmapa says, quote, based upon our unchanging entrustment of our welfare to him. This is talking about devotion and following him. And this then is followed by his mantra, which is Om Ahum Benza Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. So now I want to talk a little bit about his time in Tibet. And so this is how he came to Tibet. Is there was a king called Trisung Dutsen, Trisong Deutsen. And he was a devotee of Buddhism. He was not the first Tibetan king to embrace Buddhism, but he was trying to establish it firmly in Tibet and build the first Buddhist monastery in Tibet. It is Samye. Now, the abbot, Shanta Rakshita, could not accomplish getting this monastery built. His knowledge was of the sutra, not the tantra. The king was very powerful and wealthy, and he could not get the monastery built. The problem was that Tibet was an untamed land at this time, and there were lots of local deities and worldly gods and so forth that were hostile to this activity and Buddhism in general. And Tibet needed to be tamed. And so they invited Guru Rinpoche or Padmasambhava to Tibet. And it is said that this happened around 765, the present era. There were also obstacles from the Bon tradition, B-O-N, with an umlaut over it. And so between the obstacles from the local Tibetans, obstacles from the malevolent spirits, other deities from the God realm and other realms, that this could not happen. And the story that I heard is that, and I've heard a lot of stories, but one of them that I heard was that what would happen, among other things, is that the work that was done during the day by the king, ordered by the king, guided by the king, at night would be destroyed by these various obstacle creators, demons, and so forth. And so that's why the king called for Padmasambhava. Now, according to the fifth Dalai Lama, that Padmasambhava performed a Vajrakalaya dance, which is a wrathful protector. And now these wrathful protectors, remember, they are just emanations of enlightened beings. They are enlightened themselves, but they do manifest wrathfully to tame and remove obstacles that cannot be removed otherwise. So Padmasambhava did this tantric dance, and this helped clear away the obstacles. And the monastery, this was done in 767 is what I had in my records here. And he did many things, but in this case, he tamed a local spirit protector and bound him by an oath. And this particular being, the Tibetan name is Pehar Gyalpo, P-E-H-A-R, Gyalpo. Gyalpo, I can't translate everything here, but Gyalpo usually means king. Gyal means victorious, and Po is a male being. So he is king of the entire hierarchy of Buddhist protective spirits in Tibet. His activity also cleared the way for women to be honored as fully as men. His consort was a Tibetan woman, Yeshe Sogyal, and there is lots of material written about her. And if you're interested, it's well worth reading about her. To her, he said this, quote, "Male and female, there is no difference. But to her, Yeshe Sogyal, he said, if she develops the mind bent on enlightenment, a woman's body is better." So together, Padmasambhava and his consort Yeshe Sogyal, after taming the land, they went throughout Tibet and they concealed what are called treasures, both mind treasures and earth treasures. And these were later discovered by primarily realized beings in the Nyingma tradition. The Tibetan word for these treasures are terma, T-E-R-M-A. And this is what he said. He said that in the future, there would be natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, drought, war, violence, and so forth, affecting the minds of practitioners. And the Dharma would become words only written down in texts. It would not be living. And it would be subject to corruption. And this, of course, happened. And I won't go into the history of Tibet, but this happened. And then later on, there was a Renaissance. And then during this Renaissance, when the present is, you might say, after this Renaissance, so he hid these texts. Some were actual objects, physical objects. Some actually would appear in the minds of various beings. And these beings would be the rebirth of one of his 25 heart disciples. And these, many of these are practiced to this day. So I have a picture of Padmasambhava. Let's see if I can find it and post it. I am developing skills here. The one that I have that I'm going to try to find here, yeah, here it is. There, I took this picture at the Jogong Temple in Lhasa. This, you can see there is a monk there painting the face. Probably, I'm not sure if this is what I believe he is doing, is that a wealthy sponsor will pay to have the face of statues painted with gold. And of course, while it's being painted with gold, you still have to put in the other colors as well. But it is reported that this statue was made when Padmasambhava was alive, and that he saw it. And upon seeing it, he kind of touched it with his hand and said, it looks just like me. So you can see that he had an appearance that was not necessarily peaceful, but powerful. Again, he tamed Tibet, and he tamed all the beings that were against Buddhism. Yeah, His Holiness the Karmapa has said this actually at a speech that he gave at, or maybe a talk is a better word, at KTD in 2008. And there's actually a video of this where he talks about being a young boy there before he was recognized as the rebirth of the Karmapa. And as I said, Taisitu said he is Guru Rinpoche, that he exhibited a profound connection with Guru Rinpoche and this 7-line supplication, that I believe he had it, he knew it by heart without even being taught it, that he just knew it right from the get-go. And it was evident even at an early age that he was a special person. They didn't know who he was, but they assumed that he was the rebirth of an important teacher. An incarnate Lama, I believe, would be a good term to use. And so people would come to him with their problems and asking him for his prayers and to give them protection and so on and so forth. And he would always recite this 7-line supplication as a blessing. Here is a quote from that talk at KTD. "My family, including my parents, are very devoted to Guru Rinpoche, and we're always reciting the 7-line supplication. As we were nomads, we had to move from place to place. So my father would go to the lottery, quote unquote, to receive his allotment of land. And before going, he would say to me, 'Now you please chant the 7-line supplication as well as you can while I'm gone.' When he came back, if he had done well in the lottery and received a good bit of land, he would say, 'Oh, you chanted it well.' And if he received a poor allotment, he would say, 'You must not have chanted the 7-line supplication very well.'" And what this lottery is, and I'm just speculating on this, is that the people that were, you might say, leaders of the families of this group would then meet and choose by drawing or some such thing who would get which parcel of land to graze their animals on. That the area that they would graze was you might say, a group area, and then the individual plots then would be decided when they got there. There was nothing that was permanently assigned. So now to go into this prayer in a little more depth here, the first line talks about Uddiyana, and it is the land of the Dakinis, and it is very sacred. There is a lake, and this is the name of it. It's Dana Kosha, Danakosha. And again, you can find this on Google Maps. And in the center of that lake appeared a lotus flower with many petals. And it was on this lotus that Padmasambhava miraculously appeared. That's where his miraculous birth occurred. Now, a Dakini, to go into them a little bit more, there are different levels of Dakinis, you might say, or different definitions. Khandro is the Tibetan name, and sometimes it is used to refer to females, living women. Traleg Rinpoche's wife was here a few years ago, and she is referred to as Khandro Traleg, or Traleg Khandro. And Padmasambhava's wife, consort, I think is a better word for it, Yeshe Sogyal, she was considered a Dakini. And in a way, you could say that a Dakini is enlightened female energy that in Tantra, they frequently represent emptiness, because emptiness is, well, wisdom is considered female and activity, enlightened activity, is male. And so in Tantra, Dakinis are considered enlightened female energy and wisdom. They can be protectors. And there are male counterparts to Dakinis, and they are Daka. And the Dakinis can be peaceful, semi-wrathful, or wrathful. And also with that signifying emptiness and wisdom, they also signify, of course, compassion. And from a dictionary here, a Dharma dictionary, I have this. This is an interesting quote. Dakinis are very tricky and playful, representing the basic space of fertility out of which the play of samsara and nirvana arise. They inspire the union of skillful means and prajna. More generally, a Dakini can be a type of messenger or protector. And now this is interesting. I'm going to show you another picture that I got this from a Facebook post, if I can find it. And I might not be able to find it here because here we go. Khenpo Tenkyong put this on his Facebook page, and I couldn't help but copy it. And so here is a picture done in Renaissance style, but of a Tibetan subject. And if you can see up here at the upper right is a Dakini holding a skull cup with Amrita in it. I believe this is a painting of Talopa. who is the, you might say, the second name in our Mahamudra lineage supplication. And he received the Mahamudra teachings directly from Vajradhara, primordial mind. But here you have a, you might say, an interpretation through Renaissance style of a Dakini flying in the sky with a skull cup. And her left hand, it looks like, is flicking the dutsi from the skull cup. So that's a little bit about Dakinis. Now, this, again, is a quote from Gyalwang Karmapa. Quote, when it says you have gained wondrous supreme city, this is a brief description or summary of Guru Rinpoche's amazing deeds and attributes of body, speech, and mind, qualities and activities, as well as his achievement of supreme city. This is realization. And so the next line, encircled by many Dakinis, this means that he is surrounded by innumerable Dakinis as well as Dakas. They are, in his words, as numerous as seeds from an open sesame pod. And quite honestly, I don't know exactly what an open sesame pod looks like, but I'm assuming it means a lot of seeds, a cloud of seeds. What comes to my mind out here is in the springtime when the poplar trees seed, and their seeds are, they're a bit like dandelion seeds. They have material on them that are very light and wind catches them. And sometimes, at least out here in the country, the air can be full of them, and you will see them in large numbers on the ground where they've all come together in a cluster and so forth. In the next line, you say, I'm practicing following your example. And the Karmapa says, quote, this indicates an attitude of complete entrustment. You trust in Guru Rinpoche's infallibility. And since you are trusting him completely, you are saying, I have entrusted myself to you, and I am attempting to follow your example. Please come to this place so that you can impart the blessings of your body, speech, and mind to me and all beings without exception. And again, the way to receive blessings is based on, or how you receive the blessings is based on, again, your trust and so forth, and how you view Guru Rinpoche. It is not that everybody receives his blessings equally. It's based on how you perceive Guru Rinpoche. If you perceive him as a fully enlightened Buddha, with devotion, respect, and so on and so forth, you receive the blessings of a fully enlightened Buddha. If you perceive him as an ordinary being, you receive the blessings of an ordinary being, and so on. So it's not that it is the same for everybody. So now the mantra, Om Ahang, represents the blessings of body, speech, and mind. When we visualize ourselves as a enlightened being, frequently we visualize an Om up inside the crown of our head, an Ah in the throat here, and a Hung in the oral hum, take your pick, but the Tibetan letter Hung in the heart. And it is body, speech, and mind. So these three syllables represent a purification of our negative actions of body, speech, and mind. So Vajra or Benza in the Tibetan, it's indestructible, unchanging, non-dual wisdom. It is free of defects. It cuts through delusions of all kinds. And then Guru Pema Siddhi is his name. Guru, teacher, Padmasambhava, Pema, lotus born. And then Hung ends it. The last 4 lines of the prayer are very, very common. While I was preparing this, I went over the prayers that I do on a daily basis, and these last lines are found in 3 different prayers that I do daily. And what they say is, through the virtue of this practice, may I swiftly attain the level of origin Pema, and to this state may I lead every being, not one left behind. The only difference when I repeat this in other places is the part Virgin Pema, and it will then substitute whatever deity it is that I am practicing in that place. But other than that, all the other lines are identical. So this is a very common dedication and aspiration prayer. So through the virtue, the merit of this practice, may I swiftly attain the realization of this being that I am practicing. And then having attained that state, may I lead every being to it, inclusive of everyone.